Hello, everyone. New legislation has been introduced in the House concerning immigration reform. Let me share my screen so we can discuss some of the highlights of what this proposed legislation has to say. Now, this article is being reported by MSN. The headline reads, Bipartisan Immigration Bill Revives Reform Push Amid Rising Enforcement. It goes on to read, a new immigration proposal in Congress would give certain migrants in the country illegally a chance to live and work legally in the U.S., but without a pathway to permanent citizenship. Following more than 2 years of negotiations, a bipartisan group of lawmakers has agreed on a new proposal that addresses key areas of immigration reform. And so here, photographed on screen, guys, these are the two representatives who introduced or reintroduced the bill called the Dignity Act of 2025. And it's Representative Elvira Salazar of Florida and Veronica Escobar of Texas. Let's take a look at the bill. Now, guys, on my screen here now is the bill. This is a discussion draft. It's 261 pages. We're not going to be reading the discussion draft. There is the Cliff Note version, and here it is. Now, this is 22 pages. We're not going to read the entire 22 pages either. And as you can see, there are different sections. This is a 22-page section analysis concerning the bill. I do want to share with you guys may recall that the prior, there was the American Dream and Promise Act. This is not that. This is the Dignity Act of 2025. The American Dream and Promise Act did have sections that spoke to dreamers, temporary protective status holders, and holders of deferred enforcement departure. This Dignity Act is a bit different. Let me go ahead and take us to the section that I want to share with you, and this is the DREAM Act. Now, the top line here provides that states an earned pathway for dreamers and certain TPS recipients to adjust to lawful permanent resident status. Section 2101, the analysis reads that dreamers are eligible for conditional permanent resident status and protection from deportation if they've been continuously present in the U.S. since January 1st of 2021 and were 18 years old or younger when they entered the United States. It also says that the Dreamers recipients, DACA recipients must have completed high school or obtained a GED or currently be enrolled in secondary school. They must register for the draft if eligible and undergo a criminal background check. Those with previous felonies and multiple misdemeanors, excluding traffic violations and possession of cannabis, or convicted of domestic violence are ineligible. It does provide for certain waivers for certain misdemeanors may be granted if the alien has not been convicted of any offense in the last 5 years, and multiple may be granted if the alien has not been convicted of a misdemeanor in the last 10 years. And that the Secretary will create a streamlined process for DACA recipients to apply and may require an application fee that does not exceed $1,140. Let's go a little bit further down. It does indicate the Secretary may deny conditional status if the alien has participated in criminal gang and has been adjudicated delinquent by a state or local juvenile court, resulting in placement in a secure facility or poses a threat to public safety. An alien shall have 60 days after a denial determination to seek judicial review. Let's go a little bit further down. The terms of the permanent resident status on a conditional basis. And it reads, permanent resident status obtained under this title is valid for 10 years on a conditional basis. The Secretary may revoke the conditional status if the alien no longer meets the requirements. If their status is revoked, they must be provided with notice and an opportunity for a hearing. A little bit further down, removal of conditional basis for permanent residence. The conditional status shall be removed, allowing the alien to become a lawful permanent resident and eligible for citizenship if they remain in the U.S. and achieve one of the following: obtain a college or graduate degree, serve at least 3 years in the military, or are employed and working for at least 4 years. And a little bit further, it does indicate that the conditional residents must also meet basic English requirements and understanding of U.S. history and civics, similar to the N400. A little bit further down, there are some sections here I want to share with you regarding the general provisions. And so we're still talking about the section here of the DREAM Act. It does indicate that documentation requirements can be used to establish identity, passport, national identity document from country of origin, a birth certificate, photo ID card, school ID card, uniform services ID card, state ID, or other IDs. It also indicates that you can use certain passport entry or stamps, any DHS documentation of entry records, educational institutions, mortgages, deeds, anything that shows that you've been continuously in the U.S. For the requisite time period. And then here, Section 2208, confidentiality of information. The secretary may not disclose any of this information for enforcement purposes, and we're still under the DREAM Act, guys, except to identify fraudulent claims for national security reasons or for investigation or prosecution of felony offenses. And it says here there is a $10,000 fine for this violation. And then let's move on down. Oops, guys, I'm sorry. Let's move on down to the Dignity program. Now, this is another provision. I'm sorry, guys. This thing. Okay, here we are. My mouse kept moving. So the Dignity program is Title 4 of, or Section Title 4 of the section of the bill. And again, we are reading the Cliff Note version. So here it says Dignity program 7 years. Through the Dignity program, undocumented immigrants are provided a chance to work, earn legal status, and get right with the law. Applicants must comply with all federal and state laws, pass a criminal background check, pay back taxes, and start paying income taxes. The clock starts when the individual reports to DHS, pays an initial fine, contributes to the American Worker Fund, and enrolls in the Dignity program. The Dignity program is a 7-year program that provides temporary legal status, work authorization, travel authorization, and protection from removal proceedings as long as conditions are being met. The Dignity participants will pay $7,000 in restitution during the 7 years of the program. They must check in with DHS every 2 years to remain in good public standing. Individuals in the Dignity program will not have access to federal means test benefits or entitlements, so government assistance. They will be net contributors, to tax revenue and the U.S. economy. Successful completion of the Dignity program provides the option to receive an indefinitely renewable 7-year Dignity status to maintain work authorization and legal status. Those with Dignity status would continue to be ineligible for federal benefits. And let me make sure there's nothing here. It does indicate that eligibility and sponsorship, undocumented individuals who have been physically and continuously present in the U.S. since December 31st, 2020 are eligible to enroll in the Dignity program. They must pass a criminal background check and pay an initial contribution of $1,000, which will be used to support American workers. And then a little bit further down, let me just make sure I have everything I wanted to share with you. All Dignity program participants, Section 2303, must register with DHS, submit biometric data, and submit a sworn declaration admitting to unlawful presence in the U.S. Within 24 months of an enactment of this law, All unauthorized immigrants must register for the Dignity Program or depart the U.S. Those who voluntarily depart will not be subject to any penalties for having been in the United States undocumented if they leave and attempt to re-enter through a separate legal channel. And then this last section here, participants in the program must work or attend school for at least 4 years of the program, with exceptions for caregivers, those with disabilities and impediments, and those with young children. Every 2 years, they will check in with DHS to confirm their place of residence and provide testimony of good standing with their community. They will pay additional restitution payments to support American workers during every check-in until a total amount of $7,000 have been paid. And of course, they must comply with all federal, state laws, pay taxes, financially and materially support their dependents, purchase health insurance and be responsible for their medical costs, and will have no access to federal means test benefits or entitlements. It does say that they'll be exempt from paying FICA taxes. However, they will be charged a separate 1% levy on their adjusted gross income. This levy will be used to fund the border infrastructure authorized in separate titles of this bill and pay down our national debt, referring to the United States. It does go on to say that if an immigrant violates the conditions of the Dignity Program, the DHS Secretary shall initiate removal proceedings, and an immigration judge will determine whether to order removal or modify the conditions of their participation in the Dignity Program. And then lastly here, guys, Section 2305, completion. Upon successful completion of the Dignity Program, the individual may apply for the Dignity status. They will be allowed to stay and continue working in the United States. Those holding this status will remain ineligible for means-tested benefits and entitlements. The Dignity status is renewable every 7 years. If they remain in good standing with the law, they can remain in this status as long as they want and renew it as many times as they would like. And I will stop sharing there. So guys, those were some of the highlights of what I wanted to share concerning the DREAM Act portion of the Dignity Act of 2025 and the Dignity Program. And so, like I said, this has been introduced in the House. It will need to pass the House and then go over to the Senate. And if the Senate passes it and it is presented to the president, if the president signs it, it becomes law, and individuals who are eligible will be able to begin the process to apply for the eligibility either under the DREAM Act or the Dignity Program. Those two provisions of the proposed bill do have certain dates that individuals have to demonstrate that they meet. In the DREAM Act, it was 2021, and in the Dignity portion of the bill, it's 2020. And so anyone who is outside of those timeframes, by the face of the proposed bill, would not be eligible to apply for the various programs or provisions of the bill. Again, guys, it was introduced on July 15th, so it is quite possible this Cliff Note version analysis that we just went over could change. And so this is definitely one that we are going to keep an eye on and report back to you with regards to how this piece of legislation is moving through Congress. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be safe, be well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.